Crosby gets him again. Intercepted. William Thomas.
To Raymond Chester. He could go all the way.
Harbaugh didn't have a chance.
Are the Las Vegas Raiders in more trouble than we think? The Carolina Panthers just benched their rookie quarterback, Bryce Young, in favor of veteran Andy Dalton. This move has shaken things up, and it could spell bad news for Raiders fans. In today's analysis, I'll break down exactly why this unexpected shift might give the Panthers the edge, and why Raiders fans should be nervous. If you're all about the silver and black, stick with me as I explain how Dalton's experience could put a damper on the Raiders' plans this week. What's your confidence level in the Raiders' chances? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more Raiders news, updates, and analysis. When the Panthers announced they'd be benching rookie quarterback Bryce Young and starting Andy Dalton, it sent ripples through the NFL. The Las Vegas Raiders, set to face a struggling Panthers team, may have thought they were in for an easy win. But Dalton's entrance changes everything. For those who bleed silver and black, this is a wake-up call. Why? Because the Panthers, who have been bottom of the league, just made a move that could change the entire dynamic of this game. It's no longer a rookie making mistakes. The Raiders are now up against a veteran who knows how to win. In this report, we'll explore why this seemingly small change could have big consequences for the Raiders today. Andy Dalton stepping in for Bryce Young is a move the Raiders can't overlook. Sure, Bryce Young struggled in his first 2 games, but with Dalton, the Panthers now have a seasoned leader behind center. Raiders fans might have been counting on a predictable and inexperienced opponent, but Dalton changes the game. Historically, Dalton has performed well against the Raiders, holding an undefeated record that could haunt the silver and black this Sunday. While Young's lack of NFL experience might have been an advantage for the Raiders, Dalton's presence adds uncertainty. Veteran quarterbacks often find ways to exploit defenses, and the Raiders need to be prepared. If you look at his numbers, Dalton's career stats against the Raiders are concerning. In his games against the team, Dalton has thrown for nearly 240 yards per game with a 114.0 passer rating. Facing an opponent like that, especially with little tape on his current team's offense, puts the Raiders in a much more precarious position than originally expected. Let's be honest, before this announcement, most Raiders fans saw the Panthers game as a likely win. With the worst offense in the league, failing to convert even basic third downs, Carolina has been outscored 73-13 in just 2 weeks. The game felt like a lock, but now, with Dalton leading the charge, the Raiders face an entirely different beast. The problem here isn't just Dalton's talent, it's the unpredictability. With Bryce Young at the helm, the Raiders had a good amount of film to review, but Dalton's insertion erases most of that preparation. Teams rely heavily on studying their opponents, and when you're suddenly up against a quarterback with a different style, the game plan has to shift. Raiders fans might recall when Marcus Mariota had to step in for Derek Carr during a game. The Chargers didn't have much tape on Mariota, and despite losing, Mariota looked impressive. It's a scenario that could easily play out again. With little recent film on Dalton in this system, the Raiders are heading into uncharted territory. This isn't the first time the Raiders have crossed paths with Andy Dalton, and it hasn't gone well for the silver and black. Dalton has beaten the Raiders multiple times over his career, with some particularly painful losses. One game stands out. The Raiders didn't cross midfield for the entire game. That kind of dominance is rare, but Dalton made it happen. Even though some of these games were years ago, it's hard to ignore the history. Dalton's ability to read defenses and make quick adjustments has always been a strength. With a completion percentage over 67% against the Raiders, he's consistently found ways to pick apart the defense. This time the stakes are higher. Dalton isn't just playing for a regular season win. He's coming in as a backup with a point to prove. The Panthers' locker room is reportedly behind this decision, and Dalton knows how to step up when it matters most. If the Raiders underestimate him, they could find themselves on the wrong side of history again. In the NFL, preparation is everything. When teams study film, they learn tendencies, weaknesses, and habits of their opponents. But when a quarterback change happens so suddenly, that advantage is lost. For the Raiders, the lack of tape on Dalton in this Panthers system could be a huge problem. Think about it. All the film the Raiders studied on the Panthers' offense under Bryce Young is now mostly irrelevant. Dalton brings a completely different style of play. While Young is a mobile rookie still adjusting to the speed of the game, Dalton is a steady, experienced veteran who knows how to run an offense smoothly. That unpredictability makes Dalton dangerous. It forces the Raiders to adjust on the fly, something that's easier said than done. With little time to reconfigure their defense, the Raiders will have to rely on instinct and in-game adjustments, which could easily lead to mistakes against a quarterback who knows how to capitalize on them. As we approach game day, one thing is clear. The Raiders cannot afford to take this matchup lightly. The Panthers may be 0-2, but this quarterback change could spark new life into their team. The Raiders, on the other hand, need to treat this game like a high-stakes playoff matchup. Raiders fans, it's time to show up both on the field and off. If you're attending the game, make sure Allegiant Stadium is roaring. If you're watching from home, don't let this surprise shake your confidence, though it should make you cautious. Dalton's experience could pose a threat, but if the Raiders stick to their game plan and play smart, there's still a strong chance for a win. So what do you think? Will the Raiders hold their ground against Dalton and the Panthers? Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Raiders news. Let's get loud, let's get ready, and as always, go Raiders!